is Nicholas Wallington. It's about -5 degrees. I'm going to spend the night out here in the wild with no tent. Let's go. So first I'm going to try to find a place to camp, to set camp. It has to be flat, sheltered from the wind, and there has to be some firewood around, which is extremely important. I think I won't have any problem with the firewood, with all the trees around here. But the most difficult part will be to find a flat spot, because I'm on a mountain, and it's often quite inclined. I'm going to scout this area to find a good place to camp. So I'm putting my backpack off my back so I don't sweat too much. Because you know, in cold conditions like these, if you sweat, it's extremely dangerous, because if your sweat can freeze, which is really bad. Plus the moisture brings out the heat of your body way faster than air does. Which is something you have to avoid at all costs. This is quite a good spot to camp, because as you can see, it's extremely flat down here. Plus I have shelter from these rocks and trees, but however the wind is coming from this direction, so it could be better than this. Another good place would be here, because I have this huge cliff that would protect me from the wind. Plus, I can use the rock here as a fire reflector, so I would build my fire here. And the wall would reflect the heat back towards me, which would be great. But the ground isn't flat at all here. It's quite inclined, so I'm not really sure about this. So this is where I'm going to build my shelter, and this is where I'm going to put the fire. And when it's cold like this, I would recommend to build the fire first. For your firewood, it's extremely important to find dry wood which is still off the ground, like this. You can see? This is extremely dry. And it's still off the ground, so it doesn't take the moisture. So I finally managed to get the fire going after like an hour and a half. It's really hard sometimes. I think it's because of the wind. Because I do get a bit of wind from this direction. So I had my back against the wind, but some wind would get in the fire, and that would make it harder to light. And I used the birch bark in the end. Sorry if I didn't get this on tape. Birch bark is the best, man. Yeah. So now I've got this going. I'm gonna start building the shelter. So as you can see, I got these two wires for my shelter. I'm gonna put them like this, like, and the center pillar will go in between, and everything will hold nicely on three legs, which is perfect. When you're making a shelter like this, always make sure there's enough space for you, and lie down entirely in it before adding all the padding and all the leaves and snow. Because if you find out you don't have enough room in your shelter, that could be kind of a problem, you know? So it's 5:30. It's almost night time out here. As you can see, the sky is darkening, and forest like this, it gets dark earlier. It gets dark before the sun actually sets, so you have to give yourself 1 or 2 extra hours minimum. So as you can see, I've finished my shelter. So I've put a lot of spruce branches on top. I've got my water, which is starting to boil right here. I'm gonna make myself some tea with my thermos. Great. Gonna add some more, heat up some more water, and this will stay warm for the entire night. I've got my heat blanket. Got my heat blanket inside, nice and snug. I've attached it to the sides with some wood here and here, and I'm gonna see what it does. It's the first time I use this technique. It should keep a lot of the heat in, especially if I use these heated rocks and I put them inside. I just have to be careful not for them to be too hot so that they melt my cover and my mattress and my sleeping bag, all that. The wind has picked up. It's about 20-25 kilometers an hour, and it can get pretty dangerous when it's windy like this. I have this wind stopper there, but it's not big enough and it's not close enough to my shelter, So I'm making one out of wood. There, I'm gonna stack some wood here. Being protected by the wind is extremely important in these conditions. Because as you can feel, I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone, but like listen, this is the wind up here. It's blowing like 25-30 kilometers an hour, which like moves all your body heat away instantly. And this is under my windbreaker. I don't know if you can hear, there's virtually no wind down here, which is perfect. I can sit down here, enjoy the fire, and feel no wind at all, like basically nothing. So I just put these pillars here, one here and another one behind there, you can't see it. I overlapped on the shelter to be extremely sure no wind goes in, and plus I put another support here. So I put 3 supports plus a cross support here with some paracord, and then I just stacked up some wood. This was the hard part. This was long and excruciatingly tiring. It was so tiring, but then the result is amazing. This is what saves your life. This and the fire and the shelter with the heat blanket and the heated rocks and your sleeping bag, all this is what saves your life in the night. So this is it. It's 10:30 and I'm gonna prepare to go to sleep. Well, do a 15-minute nap. Gonna refuel the fire just before. I'm gonna see how it goes. I've got my rocks here, my heated rocks. Then they don't melt the plastic and my mattress. I tried, I touched and such, and it doesn't melt anything, so which is quite good. Got a second one here. There. I'm gonna see how it goes. It's about 8:20. I slept pretty well. The only part of me that was cold were my feet, because I didn't lay the heat blanket in my shelter the right way. It wasn't covering my entire body, so my feet were out of the heat blanket. And otherwise I was pretty good. I wasn't really cold at all actually. In my the sleeping bag is really good. It's a -5 sleeping bag, and it goes down to -20 extreme. And I think during the night it was -5 at its coldest. And since I was out of the wind, I only felt the real air temperature. It didn't drag the heat away from me, you see what I mean? Otherwise I would have felt -8, even -10, and that would have been horrible. I could sleep for 40 minutes straight before reviving the fire. This type of shelter is really good. A-frame, very solid. Just next time I'm gonna make it a bit bigger, because I couldn't sit down inside. It's too small. And with the heat blanket it's even worse, it's even smaller. It's extremely tiny. But then the smaller the shelter, the less heat you need to heat it up, you see what I mean? Because the volume is smaller. So it's a good thing in a way as well. And yeah, I'm gonna pack my stuff and I'm gonna head back. Even though it hasn't been 24 hours, I did survive the night, and most of the day it's been 22 hours and a half. I had things to do, so I'm not gonna wait 2 hours, an hour and a half here, pouncing around or taking care of the fire and doing nothing. So I'm gonna head back. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful and you learned a lot of stuff. And if you liked it, please leave a like. Consider subscribing to this channel, and comment if you like. That would be very nice of you. So yeah, -5 degrees, 30 kilometers an hour wind, and I slept good. Yeah, I'm happy with it.